Yo, I'm Yovan Buha, Lakers beat writer for The Athletic, and welcome to another Lakers postgame reaction show. I just got back from Crypto.com Arena where the Lakers beat the Oklahoma City Thunder 116 to 104. LA improved to 34 and 29. They are firmly ninth in the West, and more importantly, arguably, they have now won the season series 3-1 against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And this is looking like a pretty good matchup for the Lakers if these two teams end up playing each other in round one, be it the 1-8 matchup, the 2-7, maybe the 3-6 if the Lakers somehow go on a run here, despite how difficult their schedule is. So before we get into my three takeaways from this game, I wanted to quickly plug my new Lakers video podcast, Buha's Block, which you can check out here on YouTube. You can also listen to it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. But episode 1 is out with Lakers guard and half of Hillbilly Bogey, Austin Reeves, as well as the other half of Hillbilly Bogey, Trent Swaim. So we get into their friendship, growing up in Arkansas, comparing it to LA, a little bit of golf talk, and then we get into Austin's third season, what the Lakers need to do to turn things around here, LeBron passing 40K points, Austin's new shoes, etc. So a lot of fun stuff in that conversation. We go for about 40 minutes, so be sure to check that out, again, either on YouTube or your preferred audio platform. All right, so I kind of spoiled it with my intro, but takeaway number 1 for me is this is a great matchup for the Lakers. I think if these two teams faced off tomorrow, I would pick the Lakers in 6 games, and you typically take the road team to win a series in 6, and that's exactly what I would do. I think they probably split the first couple games in OKC. Lakers win games 3 and 4. OKC wins game 5. Lakers win game 6, and that's the series. And I think the Lakers can be confident entering the playoffs that there is at least one team that they match up really well with. There's another team they don't match up with, as well with in Denver. And that I think the Clippers and the Timberwolves, look, Lakers won the season series 3-1 against the Clippers. They've had a couple close losses to the Timberwolves. But this OKC matchup in particular, it kind of reminds me of the Denver matchup, but in reverse, where LA is the bigger, more physical team. OKC has a tough time matching up with them. LA had 48 points in the paint to OKC's 36. They out-rebounded them by 17, 55 to 38. I have the box score here. The Lakers had 12 offensive rebounds. So what's funny is OKC actually had more at 13, but part of that was garbage time. But Lakers won the rebounding battle. They won the points in the paint. They got to the free throw line more. And this is just, I went back and watched both some of the Lakers offense possessions for the primary players, being LeBron, AD, and D'Lo. And then I went and watched the primary offense possessions for SGA, Chet, Jalen Williams. And if you just look at the shot quality, like OKC takes a bunch of tough contested jumpers, and they're very good at making them. They make them at a high rate. They have not shot them at a high rate in the last couple matchups, particularly the ones in LA. It's similar to the Clippers matchup also in a way where the Clippers are a bit undersized. I think they got a little bit more perimeter size and length with Kawhi and PG, but it's when the Lakers are playing a team that's just going to take tough contested jumpers, like that's a good matchup for them. And then on the other end, no one on OKC, including Chet, can hang with AD in the paint. He's too strong, he's too fast, he's too athletic, and he just puts a bunch of pressure on them with offensive rebounds, with duck-ins, with seals, with post-ups. And then you have LeBron, who's a freight train in transition. And when he gets out in transition against this OKC team, there's just nothing they can do to stop him. So you look at the Lakers' ability to, as Darvin likes to say, live and love in the paint and at the rim and control the glass and really just from a physicality perspective, dictate the terms of engagement and really just play the way that they want to play. I think this is a great matchup. If I'm looking at the top 4 in the West and I'm ranking them right now based on the available information we have, based on the sample size that we've seen, I think I would go in terms of best to worst matchup for the Lakers. I would go OKC 1, Minnesota 2, Clippers 3, and Denver 4. I think Denver at 4 is self-explanatory. I think OKC at 1 is self-explanatory. I can hear arguments for Clippers versus the Timberwolves. To me, it comes down to I don't fully trust Minnesota's crunch time offense. I don't trust their offense in general. I think it's a lot of Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns, and that's fine. But if it's, if I'm looking at a matchup and it's coming down to Ant and Cat and I don't know who else versus Kawhi, PG, James Harden, I think the Clippers might actually be better with the way Russell Westbrook was playing recently, not having him potentially in a playoff situation. Like Norm Powell has been a very reliable scorer in the Lakers-Clippers matchup. So I just look at the Clippers have way more firepower. And yes, the Timberwolves have size and an elite defense, really good rebounding, and they can match up better with the Lakers, from that regard. They have some perimeter guys to throw at LeBron and D'Lo and Austin. But I just think that the Clippers have a more proven core in a playoff situation. I think Ty Lue is a better head coach than Chris Finch. And I just think the Clippers would be a tougher matchup than the Timberwolves. I think they're like the Timberwolves to me. I would not be shocked if they lost in round 1. I'll just say that. Like I would, depending on their matchup, like I would not be shocked. So I think I would rank it OKC, Minnesota, Clippers, Denver. But let me know in the comment section below how you would rank the top 4 teams in the West in terms of best to worst matchup for the Lakers. Again, I can hear arguments for Clippers second, Minnesota third, but I think 1 and 4 are pretty much set in stone at this point. Again, and the crazy thing to me was that the Lakers didn't have a great option for Shea, and that's going to lead to takeaway number 2, which is this was one of the Lakers' best defensive performances of the season and one of their best defensive performances in memory. Like Darvin said that first half, Lakers get down early 20-8. And then from that point, they close out the first half. Let me see here. It was halftime was 52-43. So quick math, I think it was 44-23. Yeah, over the final 18 or so minutes in the first half. So LA really locked in defensively. And at first it looked like, I think they even got up 13-2. And at that point, it was looking like it was about to be a blowout. Another terrible Lakers first quarter. OKC's younger, faster. They're hitting difficult shots. They're getting to the rim. Some carryover from that Denver game. But instead, we see LA flip a switch defensively. I thought Austin Reeves did a really good job at the point of attack against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Of course, there's some times Shai beat him and got fouled. And that's just what's going to happen when you're defending one of the best one-on-one scorers in the league. Top 2 candidate for MVP. Shai is going to get his to some extent, but considering that the Lakers were missing Vando, they're missing Gabe, Cam doesn't start. Looking at that starting group and the options that they had, I thought Austin took on that challenge very well and did a really good job. And in going through the film again, looking at Shai's field goal attempts, I think Austin did the best job of anybody. Spencer Dinwiddie did block him on a jumper. He only defended him 1 possession in terms of a possession that Shai actually took a shot on. But comparing Cam to Austin, Shai was getting separation from Cam. Austin was right there the whole time. And yes, again, Shai is bigger than him. He's more athletic. He can rise up and shoot over him. But Austin, I thought, did a good job of pulling the Shane Battier and putting his hand in Shai's face and contesting him that way. And I think overall he did a pretty solid job. So I thought Austin brought it defensively. I thought LeBron was engaged for the most part after a slowish start and as the low man and made some good plays and rotations. I thought D'Lo had some moments as a helper and switching on to bigger guys and holding his own. I thought the bench came in, and I don't want to spoil takeaway number 3, but bench came in. Torian was grabbing rebounds and I thought had a solid overall defensive game. Spencer was taking on the challenge and pressuring guys, and I thought was solid defensively as well. So to me, for a group that has really struggled defensively for going on almost 6 weeks now, I've talked about this before, but the Lakers have been a bottom 5 defense over the last 5 weeks, and there's been very little indication that that's going to change. And I think a lot of it just comes down to the roster construction. There are certain limitations with this group. You do have some injuries with Christian being out. It's another big body, another defensive rebounder, a guy who can block shots in the right settings. But then Vando's out, best perimeter defender. Gabe's out, probably best guard defender, although I think it's Max, but I could hear Gabe. Either way, like the Lakers are missing some of their better defensive players, and you've seen that with the way the team has defended lately. But to me, like tonight was like the proper blend of offense defense balance, and a lot of it just came from guys giving better efforts. I thought Rui had some nice defensive possessions as well, and like I think it helps playing a smaller team, and that's really it. Like when the Lakers have a physicality advantage and they leverage it well, you see really good results. And part of that is playing the right guys and playing bigger lineups. And that's why I think you see some of that with the lineup data when the Lakers can have these bigger front courts and bigger back courts. Like they just tend to play better and the results are there. But I also think part of it can be matchup based. And this is a matchup. I think the Clippers are another matchup. You know, the Lakers, when they have a physicality and a size advantage over an opponent, AD and LeBron live at the rim. And when this team can get rebounds and get out in transition, like that's just a game changer for their offense. And I think that there's kind of a flow on both ends. When they're getting stops, it leads to easier baskets. And when they're getting easier baskets, it's leading to more stops because now they're able to get back in early defense and set their defense. And it's just kind of like this cycle. So I know a lot of this stuff is pretty basic, but it seems like the Lakers, again, in certain matchups, when they can leverage some of this stuff, and when AD has a major strength and weight advantage, when Rui has an advantage, when LeBron has an advantage, like you just see how effective that front court is together. And so to me, again, I really like this matchup for the Lakers. I think they would win a series against OKC, assuming that they can get Vando back or Gabe and or Christian, throwing all those three guys together. And then I thought the defense, it might be a one-off. I don't know. We'll see against Sacramento. That's a totally different team that, while also smaller, and I think the Lakers have certain advantages over them, I think their 5-out offense, like they always have better shooting performances against the Lakers. So like I just think Sacramento's kind of been a tricky matchup for them where they're really good in transition and they attack the Lakers and some of their weak spots. But like on paper, of course, OKC is the better team. They have Shea, who's a better player than anyone in Sacramento. But like Sacramento might be not a tougher matchup, but like they just have played the Lakers well over the last couple of years. So that's a big game for standings watch. Sacramento is only a game and a half now above the Lakers. So if they win that one and then they win the next one next week in Sacramento, they can tie the head-to-head matchup 2-2, but also that's 2 more losses to Sacramento. And all of a sudden, you're at least moving up potentially to number 8. And depending on what happens with Phoenix, with New Orleans, with Dallas, like now maybe you're creeping up to 7. So Lakers have won 10 of 14. And despite the Denver loss, and I think their big like little hope in a potential Denver matchup, things overall are trending in a positive direction where this group is playing better. They're gaining momentum. They've won some of these tough games to start this schedule, including the Clippers game and now this one. And they got some more coming up. Again, Sacramento, Minnesota, Milwaukee. So the tenor of this week could change by the end of the week. But right now, I think this is a really good win for them. It solidifies their advantages over OKC. And I think it's something that the Lakers should feel good about. And finally, the third thing was I thought the bench played pretty well tonight. You guys know I'm not the biggest Torian fan, but I have to give flowers where they are deserved. And Torian had 14 points, 5 of 7 shooting, 4 of 6 on threes, grabbed 6 rebounds, which was his most rebounds in a game since February 1st, which was the Boston game. And that was a game, no LeBron, no AD, Lakers go smaller. So, had a couple of assists, had a steal, did have a turnover, did have a technical foul from the bench. But I thought Torian, that was the best he's looked in my opinion, in weeks. And definitely since before the All-Star break, he has not been good since the All-Star break. I've said he's basically been unplayable with the way that he's shooting, the way that he's defending, the way that he's not rebounding. He's really been hurting the Lakers, but I thought he had a good game. Spencer Dinwiddie finishes and Torian was a plus 29 in 22 minutes. Spencer Dinwiddie plus 35 in 24 minutes. And friend of the show, Dan Wojcicki of the LA Times tweeted this out, that Spencer is just the 7th player in NBA history to be a plus 35 in a game when he scored, when a player scored 2 or fewer points. So Spencer finishes with 2 points, but ends up being a team best plus 35. So I thought the bench, after really struggling coming out of the All-Star break, the numbers don't necessarily pop out like Torian's 14 and 6 do. But I thought Spencer gave them some good minutes. I thought Jackson gave them some good minutes. Cam had his minutes reduced to 13, and I thought that was a bit more appropriate. Would love to see some max rotation minutes. I feel like I'm repeating myself every post-game show, but he just played garbage time. Lakers, of course, blow the lead a little bit in garbage time, but that's to be expected when you're closing with a couple rookies and those guys are still getting their NBA bearings. But I thought this was a positive step for the bench where, they're not setting the world on fire with their scoring or their impact per se, but I thought they just did a bunch of little things. And we spoke with Spencer Dinwiddie at Shoot Around today. He talked about not putting up sexy numbers, but him feeling like he's starting to get into a groove and an understanding with his teammates in terms of when to cut, when to space, the basic tenets of the Lakers offense and where he fits into it, where he fits when he's on the ball, where he fits when he's off the ball. He's been obviously a lot off the ball because the Lakers, like LeBron is the priority, then it's AD, then it's some combination of D'Lo and Austin depending on the night and the matchup. So like Spencer hasn't been as on the ball as he's accustomed to, especially recently coming from Brooklyn where he was a more traditional ball handler and point guard. So I think he's been doing some little things to me that, again, he's just a smart, high IQ player who I think, he moves the ball. Again, he cuts, he spaces, like he screens. He just does these little things that don't show up in the box score, don't really show up unless you're looking for it on film. But I think Spencer has been playing better overall. I think the shooting has to come at some point. Otherwise, there's a limitation to how much he can just do, right? Like the Lakers need some level of offense from him. That's part of why they signed him. But assuming he can continue to do the little things and then the shot starts to come and then he can be a second side guy who, pump fake drive, then, swing pass or kick out pass or, get to the rim, get a foul, finish, whatever. He had one of those plays tonight where he had a nice reverse finish. So I think he's been better. I mean, that was his only basket. He's been better. Torian, I think part of it's just been his role and how many minutes he's taken on. And again, I feel like his legs have just been sapped and maybe playing fewer minutes keeps him fresher. He starts to make more threes and get back to shooting the way he did earlier in the season. And then the Lakers theoretically have reinforcements on the way at some point in Vando, Gabe, and Christian. No update on Christian, but I did ask Darvin pregame about Vando and Gabe. I was like, it's been 10 weeks for Gabe and it's been 4 weeks for Vando. Both guys, Gabe was supposed to be reevaluated 8 weeks, post-op. Vando was supposed to be reevaluated in 3 to 4 weeks. We've gotten no updates on either player other than status quo and things are trending on schedule or whatever, which is very vague. So Darvin said today pregame when I asked him that the Lakers will have an update on both guys at some point next week, or they should. We'll see. Well, I don't know. I have heard, and you guys are hearing it here first. Like I've been saying, I've heard that Gabe is expected back at some point before the season ends. So that leaves the Lakers about 5 weeks to get him back and try to acclimate him. With Vando, I've heard different things. I've heard he's out for the season. I've heard there's pessimism. I've heard there's optimism. Seems like it's trending in a more optimistic direction right now. So that's something to keep an eye on. It's going to be tricky because I think he's a very rhythm-based player. He's someone that when he came back from his initial injury, it took him a bit to get his legs under him, his conditioning, and just his rhythm on both ends. But if the Lakers can add that piece, like that is a significant piece because it's a big wing, a really good defensive rebounder, an energy guy, a guy who's starting to figuring it out, offensively, and definitely their best perimeter defender outside of Anthony Davis. So I think that's a big piece to get back, and whether they can get him back, I think is really going to determine what happens with their season. But those are my 3 things from tonight. Let me know if I missed anything. Let me know in the comments what your things or thing from tonight is. And again, please check out Buha's Block on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Subscribe, rate, review, drop a comment, all that great stuff. And thank you guys for watching. I will be back tomorrow with potentially with a vlog. I didn't get to record as much as I wanted to tonight, so potentially with the vlog, more clips from the Austin interview, and then back again Wednesday with another post-game reaction after a big game against Sacramento. So thank you for watching, and I will talk to you soon.